The Ultimates, issue number 10. Let's get into it. A diabolical genius known as the Maker used time travel to create his ideal Earth by systematically preventing anyone from ever becoming a superhero, and by establishing a secret council of supervillains, the Maker's Council, that rules from the shadows. But now the Maker is gone, locked away for the next 9 months by inventor Howard Stark. Howard Schneid's son, Tony, took on the codename Iron Lad and began recruiting a network of heroes to fight back against the Maker's Council and prepare for the Maker's return. After the council member Hulk ambushed his network of Ultimates, Iron Lad was left in critical condition. But in the meantime, the Ultimates continued their mission, including Captain America and the Human Torch, two of the only people who remember life before the Maker, but they're not the only ones. Accessing 45.04.30.198.HRT. I thought Hitler killed himself. That was just a cover story. The Soviets were threatening a superhuman arms race and screaming about illegal deployment overseas. Back then, we had this thing called politics. So, how'd it feel? I mean, killing Hitler. How did it feel? My brain isn't the world's oldest computer, but it's close. In the old days, I had to manually erase memories so it wouldn't slow down or seize up under the weight of all that history. I gave up my Medal of Honor and memory of getting that Medal of Honor. I gave up good friends, good years, and most memories of my brilliant father, Dr. Holton. For a while, I played the piano, but even that had to go. But that memory, I keep in full color, high definition. I go back to it again and again. It keeps me warm.
Alright, enough. Reminiscing about the good old days of killing Nazis.
Accessing AllNet, identifying Castletown, militarized civilian stronghold of a sectionist group, self-designated Red Skulls, one of 23 such militia towns across North America Union.
We've got to kill some Nazis right now.
See Red Skulls, neo-Nazi movement inspired by Nazi super soldier Johannes Schmidt. See Red Skull that appropriated the tactics and iconography of the 1970s New York City officer turned vigilante Frank Castle. See The Punisher, Summer of Frank. Red Skulls, described as a hate group by Southern Poverty Law Center. Precise ideology is inconsistent and contradictory. Group is primarily identity-driven, ostensibly anti-establishment, but mostly focuses on terrorizing the weak and the vulnerable. Castletown is the permanent home to approximately 1,500 men, women, and children, as well as the current Grand Skull, leader of the National Red Skull movement. Well, the internet is really amazing.
It has its downsides. Let's go.
What's going on here?
Tony, you're supposed to be in surgery.
I am.
Without anesthesia? You should be resting.
It's not too bad, as long as I have something to focus on. So, what are you doing out there, Steve?
I don't have time to get you up to speed. You can follow along the live feeds if you want, but I'm in command here.
It's fine. The Mortis engine is keeping me stable. Accessing 25.03.05.842.HRT. Jim Hammond real-time mission report. Tone analytical and direct. Ruled out a frontal assault for the same reason that Stade and Stark never stormed the castles.
We see the Ultimates moving in clandestine-like as Hawkeye uses arrow to take out some of the henchmen, and Cap jumps down on top of one man, incapacitating him.
For the same reason the council won't touch them. They brought their kids. The Ultimates are not baby killers. Whatever you say about us on the news, we can take the risk. So, this is a stealth mission.
Huh? What? Oh, crap!
Kids.
Hey, you hear that?
Giant men and wasps are perfect for this sort of operation, on paper.
Hear what?
Thin particles give them both the ability to shrink as well as grow. Wasp is a natural, smart but not neurotic, confident but not cocky. It's like she's been at this for years.
And we see the wasp go inside the inner ear canal of a henchman messing up his brain internally. Like a tiny voice saying, "You can do this, Hank!" Who's Hank? Ah!
But her partner, Giant Man, is another story.
Jeff! Man, the voice! I think it's throwing up in my ear!
He's got a big heart, but it's just not in this kind of work. Hank is always second guessing himself, hesitating when he shouldn't. Is this the right spot? Dang! Perspective shift. I'm all disoriented. Bang, bang, bang! I'm alright. I'm alright. It'll get him killed one day, probably soon. Hawkeye never hesitates. The trick is making sure they're pointed in the right direction. Their quiver fabricates noise-canceling knockout arrows. The men don't even whisper as they fall. The Red Skulls have nothing to do with the Council or the Maker. They're not a priority.
I've received information that connects this organization to hand. The Nazis are always a priority. It's all one fight, Tony.
It's actually thousands of them, Charlie.
As we see Iron Lad overlooking the fights of many other superheroes, such as Spider-Man, Armor, and the Black Panther, as he's having surgery constructed on his back in the Immortus engine.
Steve doesn't argue. He never argues. Answer me, Cap. Whenever possible, Captain America lets his actions answer for him.
Get some rest, Tony.
I stick to a smolder, spewing suppressive smoke as we approach our target. Castle 1 Alpha is up ahead.
Good. Lay it on thick, Jim.
Of course, it's a priority, Tony. If you'd seen what we'd seen, you know it was a priority. But even so, seeing is no longer believing.
What? Fire!
Reality is so easily doctored now. Nothing is what it seems. Everything can mean anything. The truth must be verified by hand. So here we are fighting Nazis with laser guns. It strikes my upgraded senses of humor as funny, but I don't laugh. Accessing 42.06.21.298 HRT,
and we flash back to Bucky Barnes, the Submariner, and Captain America and the Human Torch killing Nazis.
Some things never change. According to what I found, it should be.
And we see Namor, the Submariner, like a trophy on the wall of the Red Skulls. The gang's all here. It's an invaders reunion. But we are prepared for invaders.
Accessing all net Grand Skull. At least 5 different men have held the position of Grand Skull. 4 died violently. The civilian identity of the current Grand Skull is unknown to the public and perhaps even the larger organization itself. It's really him.
King Namor, the Submariner. Yes, it's really him. You weren't supposed to find out about him. I wasn't ready to see you yet.
Voice recognition error. Facial recognition error. Biometric scan results. Estimated age 73. Estimated height 5'8". Identity inconclusive.
So, how's tricks, Cap? Get him down from there now!
Did you kill?
Of course not. The certificate of authenticity says his death was a political matter, underwater, coup of some kind. The Mad King was overthrown according to Atlantean custom and executed according to Atlantean law, as were his wives and allies and heirs. But the body became holy site. Religion sprung up around it like seaweed. Oppressed Atlanteans making pilgrimages and problems. The new regime down there didn't like it, so they exiled the former king after they killed him, which has to be some kind of first. It doesn't decay. See, they say, the worshippers say, it isn't just his super dense tissue. They claim the ocean's microorganisms refuse to eat the body, that even the dead, every living thing down recognizes its rightful king. The things people hold on to, eh? It wasn't my idea to mount him by that way. That wasn't the last guy, a real collector, very into big game. But it turns out the corpse is a killer recruitment tool that boys can't get enough of it. They practically piss themselves.
The voice isn't just distorted, it's enhanced, braided with hypnotic suggestions at the frequency of human thought.
You know, there's a lesson there somewhere about the symbiosis and their context.
Manufactured charisma.
Down there, he's a miracle. Up here, he's a joke. The fish that never rots.
I'd give a signal. I am the signal.
Whoosh! Ultimates, this is what we trained for. Clear the room.
We move precisely, calmly, naturally, reinforcing strengths, compensating for weaknesses. We move like a finely tuned machine. And it feels like
Room is clear. Somebody, get him down from there.
the Ultimates are able to crush the Red Skulls with ease.
I'm going to break open your skull. Maybe even more than one. Now wait a minute. You know, you could learn a lot from us, how we operate. I mean, we both preach violent revolution against the world, government, but we've been at it a lot longer than you have.
Accessing AltNet, headline, Red Skull, militia massacres, caravan of inhumane refugees on the southern border.
You're racist, thugs, and murderers. We're nothing like you. Well, you're right about that. We've got more money, better branding, and a much larger membership. We give them an enemy, a symbol. We give them something to believe in, and something to die for. What do you give them? Here is one of our true believers now. His name is John Walker. John's been a devoted follower for Red Skull and content for years, ever since he was a boy. 16 months ago, he came to me with a metal box and a message from Tony Stark and a vial of super soldier syrup asking me what to do. You know what I said? I said, kick their freaking heads in, John. Rah! Whoosh! As the Human Torch comes in and torches John Walker's head, terminally mangling him. The Grand Skull goes to shoot at our heroes, but is deflected by Captain America's shield, and as it ricochets, zzz, you are not the Red Skull. I killed Johann Schmidt over 75 years ago. Take that thing off and give up the charade. You're done. Grzz, gah!
This is Tony Stark to Grand Skull. I am transmitting directly to your, skull. In the last 20 minutes, I've scrubbed all known Red Skull content from the internet and crashed all related platforms, and drained all your secret big accounts. Yes, even that one. I needed something to focus on.
Good gravy. It looks like you've got me. Captain America's done it again. Click. But I'm like you, Cap. More than a man. I'm a symbol, and symbols don't die. They just come back different. It was good to see you, Steve.
And we see both of the heroes look into each other's eyes.
Tap, tap, tap.
The funeral was small for a king. Of those present, only Steve and I really had known him. Not much was said, but what was said was true.
He fought like hell, and he was our brother, as much as any man in Arlington. But the ocean was his only country. That's where he belongs. So now we give back the sea, their king. May he inspire many a revolution, even in death. And we see Namor's body float into the ocean.
Accessing 25.03.06.931 HRT. Jim Hammond real-time report. Addendum. Tone. Disquieted. Disturbed. Steve hasn't slept or spoken since the funeral. He just sits in his room with the light burning all night. As a result of my cognitive upgrade, I have gotten much better at reading human emotional cues. I now recognize Steve is deeply troubled, as am I. But why? It was not just Namor. It was something the Grand Skull said. Not the mind control distortion, but what it was hiding.
It was good to see you, Steve.
Something familiar. Voice match.
It was good to see you, Steve.
Searching 90% voice match found. James Buchanan Barnes, aka
Bucky? 8 months remaining. Let's see what happens in the next issue of The Ultimates.